Welcome back to the JLL Coaching Pod, episode 15 perhaps, I'm not sure. But today, I'm going to talk about how I benched the 50 kg dumbbells. And it takes me back to when I first started training to actually build some muscle. And I think it was I remember back in the days, primary school, I'm talking under 10, running around the playground and doing push-ups with a friend. I don't really know if that counts because I think we were pretty ambitious and we're like, yeah, we'll do this every day, and did it for one day. So I don't know if that counts. But when I first properly started, I think I was about 13 or 14. Started smashing push-ups, bicep curls in the room with the easy curl bar from my dad, rusty weight kind of vibe. And I remember this, I think maybe 15 or 16. Obviously, a few of my other friends had also done some sports and were lifting a little bit or doing calisthenics, like just push-ups, pull-ups in the room or whatever. And I always remember one of my friends, Joe, had this absolutely gorgeous chest. Now I'm talking at least a B cup. They were firm pecs. I think we were in year 10, so probably 14, 15. Firm, juicy pecs. I remember I cupped them once and it's still a highlight of my life for me. It's been up there. Really, really good, strong day when I felt his chest. And I didn't have pecs. I didn't have a good chest. I had friends, I remember when I was 16, who could bench press 100 kilos. And the journey it took me to bench, 100 kilos is mate, that's you've made it once you've benched 100. Well, at least back in 10 years ago, it was back in the day. If you could bench 100, you were God himself. I think it literally took me until I was about 24, so about 10 years of lifting to hit 100 kilos. And it's funny, because today, one of my colleagues was like, oh, you have a nice shape in your chest. Kind of infers that, hey, you got good chest genetics. But the reality is, the hard story is, no, it's graft. It's graft, baby. It's just that good work over time to now that I've got a decent set of, if you hold my chest, it could be the highlight of your life. That's the kind of vibe we're going for. That's why we're trained. I'm only teasing. But yeah, I've developed a decent chest now. I benched the 50 kgs, which are 50 kg dumbbells, which is the heaviest dumbbells in my gym. And I honestly never thought I would be able to do that. Because there's a big difference between benching 100 kilos on a barbell and 250 kilo dumbbells. Because just the stability is way lower. So there's a lot of different requirements for strength. A 50 kg dumbbell bench press is way more impressive than a 100 kg barbell bench press. That's what I tell myself anyway. So yeah, it's just the story of hey, you start out, you don't have these gorgeous pecs. You're not benching 100 kilos within your... Sorry for interrupting the pod. I'm just here to advertise the programs. A couple programs in the link in the bio, in the link tree. Hypertrophy program if you want to get jacked out of your nut. And the fundamentals program if you're a bit bored of your training, you want to mix it up, you're fed up of just lifting weights in the gym, and you want to come a little bit more athletic. Dive into the link tree and get involved now. The camera card was full there, but I'm back in business. It's just the story, if you start with zero pectoral muscles, you can definitely build them and be someone who's oh wow, people appreciate the chest now. So benching the 50 kg dumbbells a couple of weeks ago, highlight of my life. Without a doubt, highlight of my life. I was absolutely buzzing. Now this whole conversation is going to be diving into strength, diving into that hero's journey of how you go from a weakling up to one of the stronger people in your circle or in the gym or whatever, just relatively to yourself. You make huge gains over time. How do you actually go from having no pectoral muscles, a flat chest, to actually developing a nice set of titties? So for benching, hypertrophy theory to build strength. Now this is the conversation of first you need to build the hardware, the tissue, and then you build the software. So this is the idea of over time, over years of training, you first need to actually build some muscle tissue. And you could do that through a hypertrophy program, which I've talked about a lot. I sell them. Check the link in the bio. But this is all about developing the actual tissue itself. Doing hard sets, close to failure, building up the volume over time. I've done 2 episodes on hypertrophy. That's not what this conversation is about. But dive into those if you want to know that first step. You want to get stronger. It's probably a good idea to build a good amount of tissue, a good amount of hardware, and then you can go into actually turning that muscle into something powerful and strong, and that is when you're developing the software on top. So first thing first, you build the tissue, and then it's theorized and proven, I believe, to decent level of likelihood that you then train your central nervous system to push these heavier weights. And that's how you develop strength. So you do a lot of hypertrophy work, maybe 6 to 30 reps. Do that for 6 to 12 to plus months. A long time if you really want to build some significant tissue. Worked with one of my clients for over a year, and he has built a crazy amount of tissue. And the strength gains come with that. And now you test, and you do get stronger in that 6 to 30 rep range. And that's how you get to lift the heaviest stuff in the gym. You do that on repeat for years. Once you've done that hypertrophy cycle, it's a good idea to then do some strength work. This is just basic periodization, changing the focus of the physical quality that you're trying to develop. First working on that hypertrophy, a good amount of time developing tissue, and then do a few weeks to months displaying strength or adapting your central nervous system and the skill of lower rep exercises, lower rep sets to kind of show how much strength you've developed, how much muscle you've developed, and then building the neurons around that to kind of display that strength. Because the neuron stuff can take like around 3 months, but to build significant muscle tissue, you need at least 6 months in a calorie surplus with good quality, high quality training, making progress in that 6 to 30 rep ranges. So that's the kind of background on how I benched the dumbbells. It took me ages. One thing I took away recently is it's important to control the eccentric, the lowering phase of each lift. So on the way down in a bench press, on the way down in a squat, control that. But for strength, you want to have absolute intent. So you want to give 100% effort on the concentric on the way up. For hypertrophy, it's important, but for strength, it's even more important. So those are, you should focus on full speed on the way up, every single rep on the concentric. Just wanted to sprinkle that in because I've been using it and it's been effective, and there's research behind it from Menno Henselman. He's just a huge guy in the industry, does loads of research, funds loads of research, and generally doing bits, even though some of the studies get critiqued. But anyway, that's not the point of this conversation. Second point is building that ability to grind out reps. Now, everyone who I start training doesn't grind out reps. It gets hard, and the velocity, the speed of change that the weight is going through, or the movement you're going through, it starts to slow down and people just stop and you give up. You really need to be able to grind through reps and fight through reps. You have a force velocity curve, goes like this. As force increases, velocity decreases. So you need to slow down in order for all the tissues to turn on, get recruited, and produce as much force as possible and display as much force as possible. This is the easiest way to think about this is watch the powerlifters, the strongest people in the world with a squat, bench, and deadlift. Typically, all of the world records are absolute grinders. Some are like 10-second reps. So you're really, really grinding it out. That's so you can recruit as much tissue as possible to do the job. You need to practice grinding. That was a huge change for me with my benching progress. with the dumbbells, I was stuck around the 34s for a bit of time. And until I started really grinding out hard sets, going to very, very, very close to failure very consistently, was the only time I really got that like huge leaps and progress in results. So you got to learn two things. You got to do hypertrophy. You got to be in a calorie surplus for a long time, build a lot of muscle. But within that period, you need to learn the skill of grinding. You need to learn the skill of producing a lot of force, and having that huge intent on the way up with your concentric parts of the lift. Now, genetics is a factor, and it got in my way. Like the fact that some of my friends, like, oh wow, amazing pecs, like within, I don't know, probably 6 months of doing push-ups, like ridiculous timelines, like actual genuine pecs. Like, look at those B cups. And I was like, all right, then I must have bad genetics. I must not be able to do it. But that just like gets rid of all responsibility. So like this, yes, genetics are good for managing expectations, and they are 100% an important factor. But it's only useful if you don't let it limit you. So, for example, you need to look at your family. You need to look around you and see where other people are at. Is everyone overweight? Is everyone a stick? Are we people in between? Do you have other athletes in the family? Do you have people who are like high performers historically? Look at those and you'll get a gauge of where you're going. However, because of where we are in the sports science era, we can now have a much higher level of certainty with the training that we do. If you get your training organized well, you could probably get way better results than anyone historically within your same genetic pool. And I think it's important to take responsibility and not use the excuse of genetics, because it just like it abstains from responsibility. And you want to take complete responsibility of your progress in the gym. If you're not happy with your results, blaming genetics, which is what I did for years, is such an easy way out. Oh, this person's got better genetics than me. That's why his chest is bigger. I give up. No. Why is he getting better outcomes than me? What factors am I not ticking? You've got to be absolutely rigorous in your reflection of your process of progressing in the gym. You need to be every single point that you can think of, and it's complicated. You've got your diet, your nutrition, your training itself, your lifestyle factors. My training was all right. I was just drinking loads and not sleeping well, and maybe stressed. Like this year, the stress has been exceptionally low, and the training is just. Training was similar last year. Effort, intent, nutrition was similar last year, but stress was way higher. Results weren't as good. Whereas this year, stress has come down, results fly up. You got to be reflective. You're going to have different eras of training. Sometimes it's going to go really well. Sometimes you're going to be dealing with injuries and whatnot. But using the excuse of genetics is not going to help you. Everyone has a special skill set that you'll be biased towards naturally due to your structure, the type of muscle tissue that you have, type 1 or type 2. These kinds of things will definitely influence what you are good at. You will be good at something. You need to find that thing. And you probably already have an idea if you think about what sports you were good at or whatnot. If you've never done sports, you will find out once you start doing them where you will be biased towards, what you'll be good at, what you won't be good at. This is just like, don't let genetics be an excuse for you not to pursue the highest level of gains, because everyone can get it. You can get it more than you think you can, and that's just from like personal experience. People always say like, oh, you get your best years of training when you just start training. Not for me. Literally, the further on in my training career, the better my progress has been. The rate of progress has been significantly better because I've dialed in more factors. I understand the training outcomes, how to get them, the principles better, and apply them in a way that has enabled me to get good results, which is something that you need to consider. And that's a principle. Like, that's same thing for life. You learn more, you have more skills if you're reflective. you can improve things. That's so important. Another topic in the realm of strength is why strength isn't everything. And I looked into this, and I already recorded a podcast, but I'm not going to post it because I'm not happy with it, and I'm still thinking this through. But I'm going to open this conversation for the last little wee bit here. A little sip of sparkling water, keep the morale up. Yes, one of my colleagues said, like, strength is a foundational principle of performance, and that got me going. I'm like, is it? Is it really? And I'm thinking of athletic performance, and my bias is because there's such a huge variety of sports and such a difference in the physical qualities required to be good at those sports. For me, if athletic performance is the goal, is strength a foundational principle? And initially I was like, I don't think it is. And my argument was, you have sports like ice skating, you have sports like dance, tennis, where strength, the productive application of force, or the ability to produce or accept force, isn't everything. When I think of strength, I often think of being strong in the gym. But I think in reality, the management of forces is a foundational principle of strength. Strength is a foundational principle of strength. But the management of forces, your ability, like CrossFit's got a really nice definition. Strength is the productive application of force. Now, I would probably change that as the productive management of force, because it's not just applying force. You need to accept force in order to kind of, receive yourself in different positions. So strength, it is really a foundational principle and aspect when you define it in a certain way. And I would exchange the word strength for management of forces. Because really, that is absolutely foundational across the board, no matter what the sport is. So you need to be coordinated. You need to have good biomechanics, so you're efficient with your movement. But all of these things go under the umbrella of management of forces. You've got physiological outcomes, biomechanical outcomes that all come under this management of forces. So I must admit I was wrong there. I was really wrong. So you like rate of force development. Again, that goes under the umbrella of force management. You've got different strength qualities, different elastic versus muscle-based qualities, different tissues that are involved with the management of forces. Speed, change of direction, all of these things are foundational in this force management conversation. So I've recorded a whole podcast arguing the other side of this point, saying that strength isn't everything, and I'm not going to post it. And this is just me thinking over that again, and I think I was wrong there. Strength, with the right definition, is a foundational principle of performance, and my definition would be the ability to manage forces. Brilliant. All right. I hope you enjoyed the pod. Thanks for listening. If you've got any questions, just slide in the DMs. Drop a comment. Appreciate you all. Hope you have a great day. Goodbye.